This is William DeMille. I have spent my lifetime being a farmer, in a profession that values the natural world, and what it can produce for humanity. I created this channel to share with you how raising food enriches the human experience. I do this by focusing on the little things, the quiet moments, the solitary vistas, the dusty trails, the hard times, the good times, and the real times, including the lows of heartache and the highs of shared laughter. Join me today as we cultivate something beautiful.
So stirring the preps in is going to be probably the longest part of the process, and so we'll probably start and stop as we go along, but we'll just talk about what we've got here. We've got a bucket of warm water and probably just a little bit full. So our compost tea has been brewing longer than needful, but yesterday was such a windy day and we didn't have a lot of sunlight, so not a lot of photosynthetic ability in the greenhouse, so we opted to wait and let it brew another day. So this is just compost mineral tea. I'm just gonna empty a little bit out. So what we're doing now is biodynamic preps that we're going to mix with the compost tea, and then we'll apply it directly on the plants and in the soil. So we're making way more than we need here, but we're gonna really try to jumpstart things. I mean, you can tell in the greenhouse things are already good. We're not dealing with sterile soil, we're growing good plants, and it's February, so things are in pretty good shape. But so the first prep is barrel compost, and we made it with Brooke Levan and Lloyd Nelson last year, and it's been buried in the ground since. It's a little bit frozen, a little bit solid, so I'm just going to break it up. I don't remember the numbers. All of the biodynamic preps have a number, so 501 through 509. So the idea, this is, when I went to the barrel making compost prep workshop, I thought, well, we're going to be doing, it's about compost. I thought, well, we're going to be talking about carbon and nitrogen and how to water and how to turn it. And when I got there, it didn't have anything to do with that. It's a lot different than what you'd think of as making traditional compost. We stirred it for a certain amount of time, the cow manure, and then we buried it in the ground. So it's just about an 18-inch round pit in the ground, and then we covered that. And the idea is that it pulls the forces from the earth into the compost, so this is more of an energetic treatment. Okay, you want to help me break some up? Yeah, okay. So it's kind of frozen, so it'll dissolve and break up, so just kind of let it go through your hands. So it doesn't have an adverse smell. It was pretty fresh cow manure from our milk cow when we stirred it and put it in the ground. It was October of 2019 when we did that. So yeah, so the compost tea over there has been brewing for 4 days now. Okay, so what we have there is horn manure, and so it's got a plug in the end of it, a clay plug in the end of it that we need to pop out. And that should All right.
That's another bone? Of Calvin?
No, that's been sitting inside there. So this was buried again in October of 2019. We had 24 of these that we buried in a separate pit, just in a place that we felt like was the right place. So the outside of it has just got clay on it, and it's just to protect so it doesn't fall out.
Well, that's dirt.
So you remember when we did that, when we dug the pit and we put the horn. So this is the true.
All the horns and one that's secret to
Yep.
here.
This is the true horn manure, and it's pretty dry. Ideally, when I took it out of the ground, the best thing to do is to go ahead and hydrate it again, and then put it in some crocks and put it in like a cool cellar, and then it won't dry out. It'll stay moist, but I think that the potency is still going to be good. So this is a lot of times I guess biodynamic guys will mix these separate, but because we're starting a greenhouse, it's our first crop, we just want to jump start things again, so we might be overdoing it. Oh, that water's nice and warm. Okay, and then the last one is what is called horn silica, and it is just taking let's see, how do you make that? It is this was just made from crushed quartz that we found on the ranch, and we kind of mixed it up with water and made a paste, and again buried these horns in the ground. And so a lot of what you'll see traditional farmers do is just address the excesses or the deficiencies based on a soil sample, and we take those things into account here as well, but most soil, unless it's completely sterile, has the nutrients available. What it's lacking is the life, and so that's what we're going to focus more on, is the life, which is in the form of the microbes in the compost tea, and this is more of what they might call the etheric force of life. So the truly unseen. Like the microbes you can measure with a microscope, and this would be more of what you might not be able to measure scientifically. So I'm just crushing up the fine stuff in there, because most of the time you will want this to go through some type of a sprayer, and so it's gonna we can maybe filter it before we put it through our little bottle sprayer, wherever it is, just so it doesn't plug it up. And we're going to do some testing here. So okay, so here's where it gets into the woo-woo. You good with that, William?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You told me the other day how weird this was going to be, so
yeah,
I'm prepared.
So you're okay. Well, it's only weird if you don't believe in it. So you can see there's a lot of fungal influence inside that horn. Occasionally you can actually get earthworms and stuff in there, but the fungus is life, so that is something you can measure. I'm just going to go ahead and rinse that out so we get all that good stuff in there. Okay. So I don't know if you're familiar with dowsing.
Yeah.
You might be able to explain it better why it works.
That's how you find water to know where to dig a well, right?
Yeah. So we've done it on the ranch to find water, right? Then usually they call them water witches. So these are just dowsing rods. And yeah, you can use it to find water, you can use it to find pipelines. In this case, we're going to use it to test the potency of, on a scale You can do whatever your scale should be, but we'll just do from 0 to 100. So this is just all the material in there pre-stirring. And so for me, it's really hard to tell. I'm not moving these. I'm trying very hard to just keep my arms steady and hold them fairly tightly. And then my only movement will be with just my body forward to. So if you're dousing for water, if you wanted to look for water, as soon as the rod's crossed, it would say there's a strain or a flow of water underneath the ground, and then you can determine the depth of it. Okay, so here what we want to do is determine the potency of this brew that we're going to put out. And so I'm just going to ask on a scale of 0 to 100, is it above a 10? So that was a yes. Is it already at 100? That's a no. Okay, so there's a clear yes when it crosses, clear no is when it goes out. So we know it's between 10 and 100 now, and so I'll just keep going up in increments of 10. Is it a 20 or higher? Is it a 30? Is it a 40? So again, on a scale of 0 to 100, what is the overall potency of this? Is it above a 50? Is it above a 60? So it's between 50 and 60 right now. So another thing you can ask is, does it have the potential to be at 100? So it does. So sometimes, I mean, depending on, again, if you're looking at the ability of the soil to produce, if you're dealing with some toxicity issues or high alkalinity or high salts, it may not be able to reach 100 because it's just not physically capable of it, given the circumstances that are there. Okay, so this is just a tool that verifies your own intuition. Your own intuition can tell you the same thing. And I think as gardeners, I don't know if you experience it, William, but you probably have an idea when something's out of balance when you walk into a garden. And you might know just intuitively, hey, you know, you've got azomite and eggshell and compost. You might know, well, hey, this is probably what we need to be able to boost production or to just make it happier, which just sounds really touchy-feely, but plants are life, and we know when we're not feeling good, and we know what makes us feel good, you know, whether it's something we eat or just somebody telling us that they care about us. And a lot of times just that gesture of our intention toward the soil can make the plants happier. Like, I mean, it's scientifically proven that if you play classical music, things are going to grow better. So again, that is just a tool that replaces or augments or enhances our own intuition. So whatever I'm doing here, don't get so caught up, I guess, on the methodology of what it is, because each of us has the ability to be able to influence for good or for bad those things that we have stewardship over. In this case, it's this greenhouse. All right, so we're going to stir this, and there's a specific way that we're going to do this, and Gabe can help me if you want to take off your coat. But okay, so there's still some solid things in here, but it's pretty well dissolved. Well, until you reach down to the bottom, and then there's more manure.
I want to touch it.
Solids.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah, you gotta feel
stuff. It. So I've known about biodynamics all my life. I don't know about all my life, but I mean, I read about it as a kid, reading gardening books, and I read some of the stuff that Rudolf Steiner wrote, you know, who's supposed to be the father of biodynamics.
Yep.
And I've worked with gardeners who did biodynamics, but I've never created the preparations and actually done this. Okay. So this is super exciting. And nobody knows why it works.
Not so much. I mean, why does massage work though? I mean, there's a little more science there, but a lot of what you do in massage is intention.
That's right. As you're talking
intuitiveness, right?
Right. As a massage therapist, if you're not intuitive, it's hard to give a person a good massage.
Sure.
You massage the muscles, but there's a lot more to it than that.
because there's, you know, like what you brought out, there's a lot of emotion involved when a person's ability to heal.
Yeah.
And that's just emotion, is just energy in motion, and that's what we're trying to create here, is this energetic flow. So, okay, so some of that will dissolve. So what we'll do is when we stir, you kind of want to make your hand into a paddle, and you're creating a vortex so that this all the molecules inside the water and inside the preps are colliding against each other randomly, and that creates an increased amount of energy flow in this prep. So as I stir it, I want to create kind of like a drain type. Kind of like what it would be like when your tub's draining or in a whirlpool. So we'll go one way for a while, and then we'll go back and we'll go the other way for a while. A lot of people who are in the biodynamic world, they have special barrels or buckets made from different substances of wood, and they'll actually use a long pole that's suspended and use that to stir it. I think it's good to actually use your hand, because as long as you feel like your intentions are clear. You have worthy ideals for the land you're stewarding, it's going to be transmitted into the preps that you're creating. So, yeah, the horn manure and the barrel compost are really, really dehydrated, so it's taken a while for it to dissolve. So, how long do you have to stir? As long as it takes.
Is that an intuition thing?
Intuition, we'll stop and we'll test with these rods.
Oh, okay, sure.
Pretty juicy. You want a drink, Gabe? There's nothing really foul smelling about this. Some of the biodynamic, like the stomach preps and stuff, they're potent. They're not very they're not necessarily very pleasant to stir. But switch hands. Although my left hand doesn't quite have the paddle down, there's kind of a little way that you move your fingers. It really creates that vortex, which is one of the key things that actually makes the preps be more potent. And so.
Okay, so from a historical view of this, who figured all these details out?
Who figured them out?
Yeah.
So, you might know better. So you're, like you said, Rudolf Steiner was the father of it. Rudolf Steiner was German, grew up in Nazi Germany. And I don't remember the history exactly, but he just kind of started experimenting, and I'm sure studying, and I'm sure was given the gift of healing land and healing the soil, and so he documented, he taught, and he lectured. His work is not the easiest to read if you read the original. There's a lot of other authors out there who've studied him, and I think a few documentaries about biodynamics that might be a little better to start than just jumping right into to Steiner's work. That's supposedly one of the things that adds legitimacy to the biodynamic world is that during well, let's see, I think I'm gonna probably slaughter this, but at the end of World War II, you know, we know that one of the things that brought the war to the end was the atomic bombs, and that energy and those toxins spread throughout, you know, not only Japan but into Europe. And so they started testing for radioactivity in the milk and condemning the milk that had too high of toxins. And there were farmers who adhered to Steiner's biodynamics who kept farming, and as the story goes, and I'll try to find and verify that, but they were the ones who, those biodynamic farmers were the only ones who had clean milk to sell, right across the fence from the other farmers who were just growing things traditionally. And so why was that? What made the difference? I don't know, but we definitely live in a pretty toxic world now. Electromagnetic pollution, environmental pollutions. Hey, we just got rained on. And so I think that, you know, if it worked then, man, we should have all the more reason to do it. And it's not expensive. It takes time and effort, and I think more than anything just kind of takes a belief in knowing that it works. And so it's raining, yeah.
It's raining on us inside the greenhouse.
Okay, so let's test and let's see where we're at, and then we can maybe switch up and do some brix testing and stuff. So we knew that it was at between 50 and 60. Is it above 60? That was a clear yes. Is it above 70? So again, on a scale of 0 to 100, is it above 80? Is it above 90? So it's somewhere we can get close. 82, 83. So basically we're at 82 degrees of potency. So if we want it to reach 100, we just keep stirring, because it's probably already really good.
But you asked earlier if it has the potential to get to 100, and that was a yes.
Yep.
So we might as well keep stirring, right?
We might as well, yeah, just because. Yeah. And do you want to double check? I mean, are you familiar with dowsing?
No, I've never touched the dowsing rod.
Okay.
This is scaring me. Grandpa saved me from your son.
You know how to muscle test, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am a massage therapist. I know all kinds of weird things.
So it's just the same thing as muscle testing. You can muscle test it if that's more familiar. Like you can do the whole finger. Is it above an 80? My muscle testing said no on that. So just hold them out, and then just
all right.
ask it to show you a yes first, just kind of like you would with muscle testing.
Show me a yes.
And some people are opposite. For some people it doesn't work. And so if it doesn't work for you, don't think that there's something wrong with you. It's just,
my name's William. Need some practice. Maybe that's not my name. It is an art.
It is, and
some people can't do the find a well, do the water witches.
Probably because they don't believe in it, right?
That's my problem. I'm a skeptic.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, it doesn't.
Maybe deep down I'm a skeptic. Okay,
It's just gonna come
here
out.
we go. Am I a skeptic? Little bit.
Now we're jumping into curiosity here.
Am I making fun of this process?
You're just gonna have fun.
Do I want to believe?
Okay.
Hey!
That's all you need is just the desire.
Did you see that? That's actually true.
Okay.
I help thou my unbelief. That's been my motto all my life. What a great scripture.
You just need a little proof.
That's right. Just need to plant the seed of faith. The thing is, I do like all this stuff. I believe it, you know. But I like to know the facts, though. Sometimes the facts don't get us very far in life. Sometimes we have to have faith in things we simply don't understand.
Absolutely.
But the more I learn and the more I do things, the more I grow plants, the more I figure out that I don't know very much. There's a certain point where you think, okay, I've got this figured out, and then you have a growing season, and it kind of ruins your whole belief system. Think, wait a minute, I learned so many things that what I believed isn't true anymore.
Sure.
And so you have to go back and start asking those questions. I like the scientific method where you can have set parameters and you know what you're dealing with. But sometimes you struggle. It's just like the gardening here. I planted 2 rows of fava beans, and in between them I planted spinach, and on the end I ran out of spinach, and so I planted radishes. Well, the radishes, when I harvested all the radishes, took them away, and we ate all those, the fava beans were about 4 inches taller where the radishes were growing. And the bed was the same, the compost was the same, everything was the same, but that section where the radishes were growing, fava beans are doing better.
Yeah.
So did the radishes do something? The way that they grow that made the fava beans grow better? Or is the spinach causing the fava beans to not grow as good and they're acting like a weed? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But, it's right there, you can go look at it. So it's super interesting. A lot we don't know.
A lot we don't know. The more it's just interesting. I don't know if in that Acres conference, John Kemp, I think he's a Mennonite, he talked about what we don't know from our soil samples that we've adhered to since, I don't know, probably World War II when we started testing and applying soil amendments. He says we've really been led astray. Not only have we wasted a lot of money putting down amendments that aren't necessary, but we've also done a lot of harm by over-applying, specifically like nitrogen fertilizer, which is salt-based. And so we've created these sodic soils that are now becoming sterile over time, and then plus we're over-irrigating, so it's just kind of a vicious cycle that just leads to depletion. And I mean, in traditional agriculture, they say that you lose 4 tons of topsoil every year, that you lose more topsoil than in an average year in conventional agriculture than you produce in corn, and corn is our #1 crop, and so it's coming at a huge cost. And so the idea is with this system is that you're not importing nutrients. The cow is the basis of biodynamics. They have a big fermentation vat. They automatically are composting inside the rumen, and then we're just taking that, providing that it's not fed GMO feed and toxic diet. We're taking that output from the cow and we're potentizing it and making it go a lot further. Because on range ground, they said we could rehabilitate the earth if we had a cow pie every square meter. Well, on range ground, that's impractical. But with this, it's not. I mean, you could, I don't know, for $8 an acre, you could spray this over your whole ranch. It would be expensive, but you could cover it. And would it pay? I don't know. I mean, I think we've definitely seen that it pays on our irrigated meadows, and we're just finding out. So this intensive situation in a greenhouse, and I think absolutely it pays because this is growing food, very small scale, and so we can afford to do a lot in this. Okay, I'll test again. So what were we at? Like 83 last time. So is it 90 or above? Is it 95? Is it 97? Is it 98? We're getting close. 99. So is it fully potentized to 100? Okay. So we're not, there's, I guess at this point it's kind of the diminishing returns. If you keep stirring it, yes, you may. I know it's a scale of 0 to 100. You may go above that scale and that you're bringing in additional energies, but I don't know that it's necessary. So that's where we're at. So the next step, this is where we get a little bit scientific, and we're going to see if we can actually measure if it's going to work. And the way that we do that, I don't know if you saw, did you see my post on Facebook? We're supposed to be calm today.
Well, I turned that inflation fan off so we could hear better.
Oh, should we kick it?
Maybe we should kick that back on.
Okay, I'll plug it back in.
It's just it's that one, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll go down here. So what we're gonna test here is the brix, B-R-I-X level of the plants, and the brix is just a measure of solids. The solid sugars, the sucrose in the plant. So we've got a refractometer. They're available on Amazon for about $80 to $100. They have digital ones that are about $300 that are easy to read. I actually got a picture of it on my phone yesterday. I have no idea if it's going to work coming into that camera. But what you'll be able to see there is a scale. I don't know, does that show up?
It's pretty blurry.
Okay. We'll take pictures and you can embed them perhaps into the video.
Perfect.
Because William, what do you think? So we don't have to test everything, but we kind of want to test. Basically, what we need to do is squeeze the sap out of the leaves, and so we could do like 3 samples from each bed of different.
Yeah, it would be interesting to do unrelated species. So you could do a kale and a fava and a lettuce.
Okay.
Or a spinach. Those are all unrelated.
Okay. Yep, let's do that. So we're just kind of getting a baseline reading. So
Yeah.
try to do it at the same time of the day, because the time of day can matter. So it's 10 o'clock Pacific time here.
Okay, you want to.
So we want to grab some leaf material. There you go, Weston.
I have used this in the house.
We've got kale.
I squeezed
Here,
some
right?
lemon out of it. Lemon juice out of the lemon.
This is going to be pretty juicy, but if you're testing grass, sometimes you want to roll it up a little bit. Okay.
Now I'll come by you.
You can jump up on here. Okay, so as you squeeze that down, it's going to start to put some juice out, and we'll just kind of try to drip it off the corner. It's going to take a pretty good squeeze.
So it's just a garlic press, right?
Yeah, it's just a garlic press. You need a pretty substantial one.
Ow!
Let's see. So you've got those little droplets of juice on the bottom. And I might have to cheat and just swipe it.
Yeah.
So you just put it over the glass plate there. Flip down the cover.
Oh yeah, I have used one of those. I have looked into it and saw.
Got a little pretty humid in here, so okay. So that is a 9. So the scale goes up to 30. So we're at a 9.
Okay.
So we'll document that. I'll also try to take a picture
Do you
of it.
want me to dump this out?
Yeah, you can go ahead and dump that out.
Okay.
So it actually shows up kind of good on there.
So is 9 good or bad?
It's marginal, which you want to be, the higher it is, the better it is, the more sugars.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's not so much good or bad as can we improve it? And
Sure.
can we do so economically? And do we need to? Right? If it was already at a 15, it might be like, well, there's not going to be
Just
much
the
that
water
we're going
off
to gain
of
for
your
it.
skin. Okay, you want to...
Okay, so we're going to put, this is bed number 2.
Bed 2, zone A.
Bed 2, zone A, and kale.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got it in 4 zones, A, B, C, D. So I can kind of tell.
Hey, that's kelp that we just squish.
It would be interesting to do another kale
In
from
a different zone.
on this bed 3 or bed 4 because I planted it a month later and it has been growing a lot faster. It's almost as big as this one now
There you go.
and it's been growing a lot quicker. It's the same variety, but it
Grown,
is,
planted later, and
it's on the other end of the greenhouse.
we'll do this. You want to carry that? You got that? You got that? Okay, what should we do next? You want to do the favas right next door, or should we scoot down a ways?
Maybe the bottom.
Yeah, those favas right there would be good.
Okay.
Okay, let's pick a
So
little
fava beans. Tell us about fava beans, William. What?
Fava beans, they're called broad beans in Europe. They're a cold weather bean. They grow in the winter. If you have a mild winter, you can fall plant them. A lot of people will grow them as a green manure crop to till in the soil. But you can eat the leaves, you can eat the pods when they're very young, and you can eat the beans when they get big. They're a great big bean, like a lima bean.
9 favas or 9. Do you want to let it? Kirsty?
I said I wanted to.
There it goes. There it is. There it is. Okay, flop that lid down. Oh, we got a leaf on there. Hopefully that didn't take it. There we go. Okay. That's what it reads. And we had to work for that one.
Kirsty, move your fingers off the end. There you go.
Dad, I'm squeezing that. So where's the other? I don't know. How do you tell?
Okay, so it's a 5. So if you look, can you see the blue?
Yeah.
Can you see the white? And so we'll just
wake it up.
Okay, so you just added your prep that you stirred into the compost tea that's been brewing for 3 days.
yeah. So
And it has tea bags in it with, remind me what they are.
so this is our actual compost from our compost bed, which is largely hay and manure.
Okay.
And then we had the
Phosphorus.
is
Is that what
the
that one
phosphorus
is?
product.
Okay.
So you're seeing there's quite
And
a bit
it's
of
just a
solids.
mine, it's not man-made, they just mine it out of the earth.
Yep, it might be crushed slightly,
Yeah, sure.
but it's just,
so they can put it in a bag.
or actually this is it. You can tell, you can feel it's a little bit coarser. So this is the phosphorus. This is going to be the Alaskan humus.
Okay, so
really
that's,
high in
Tie those up.
fungal,
So that was
Just-
a compost from Alaska.
old growth forage compost. And then this was just our experiment. We had
Don't touch it.
azomite eggshells.
And I think you put alfalfa, eggshells, and azomite in there.
Okay. You can tell how scientific we are.
Hey, it feels good.
It's been 3 days. We don't. Okay, so we're just squeezing that out, and then we're just gonna dip out of here and strain it. Weston, there's a squirt bottle in the car. Do you want to grab it?
Yeah.
Okay. Bless you.
I don't
Okay, so
need no coat.
these leftovers we can just put into the compost bin, and
Okay.
unless there's a specific spot you want them. So let's set them. Why don't we just go right there? Here's our lunch.
Yeah, we need to get it out of the sun. It's starting to wilt. We need to put that in the
You can
car.
should we do that real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
It'll probably be another hour. Probably be another hour if we retest everything.
We're just gonna strain it.
Dad, I'm thirsty.
Here you go.
All right, so we're gonna strain. You're gonna have your kids drink the bio prep.
Well, I always
Just
say
kidding.
that I shouldn't put anything on the soil that I wouldn't drink. I could drink it, but I not to say that I would.
There's probably some bacteria in it that would not be good for you.
Probably. So
We are brewing good ones, but
yeah.
so we're just straining it so that it'll go through a sprayer without plugging it up.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
well, this can be applied foliar. So what we're doing is we're just going to establish if the plants have an increase in the brix level after we spray it on.
Okay. And are we gonna wait a while, or is it gonna be an immediate test?
That is a good question. I think it's going to be fairly immediate, but let's go ahead and maybe wait 12.7 minutes. That's what feels right. Just kidding. I don't know. 10 to 15.
Oh dear. We're having too much fun around here.
It is fun because I mean, so can you imagine if we were spraying Roundup or even chemical fertilizer?
The way you're doing
want our
this.
kids, their hands in it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to lick this stuff. It's not. There's nothing in here that's toxic. All right.
It's pretty close. Cool.
Yeah, I guess even if you're gonna put it like in a big spray rig, you probably would want to strain it so it didn't plug up your emitters. But this is gonna be a lot finer than what we would need to, go through a conventional sprayer.
Now you're gonna squirt it.
Okay, so this has the brew that's been brewing with all the compost type things and soil amendments for 4 days, and you added some molasses to feed the microbes. And then you added in the biodynamic prep that we just stirred up in the 5-gallon bucket.
Maybe it's plugged up already.
Alright, there you go.
No, you have to kind of turn it, Dad.
Okay. All right, so
Sprayer's working.
you can get super scientific with this, which I guess if you're gonna do, commercially, you probably would. You'd say I've got however many ounces, and you could step off or measure get your square feet, and then you could figure out how many gallons per acre you would need to apply. We're not going to be as scientific. We're just going to, what we'll do is we'll try biodynamics with the biology first, and then we're going to add the electrically clean calcium and just see if there's a reaction, positive or negative, when we add that. I think it'll be positive, but this is our most expensive amendment. And so, does it really pay to do it in here? Probably, but just for the sake of experiment, we're going to try it out. So, I think we're going to go over and we're going to do the fava beans, right?
Okay.
So we'll do one section of fava beans without the calcium, and then we'll switch and do with calcium.
I guess we're going to be go right here to this little part.
Yeah, so we'll just do from this hoop to that hoop without calcium. So this is just a foliar. I'm just going to get it on the leaves. It can get on the soil.
Okay. And then there's going to be another batch down.
Obviously, we're not going to do the whole garden like this. But you could with like a backpack sprayer or 2 or even a 1-gallon sprayer, but we've got about 20 gallons of brew there, so I think we're just going to go out with our canned water. Okay, what time is it, Weston?
I don't know what.
Watch. We've been playing around here for about an hour. It's 11 o'clock.
another batch of fava beans down that way? Yeah, like right in there.
You got pretty good sun.
So you're dousing them pretty good, getting all the leaf surfaces wet,
Yes.
so that the stomata will, so that this will go inside the stoma, which is the pores of the plant where it takes in carbon dioxide. And so these plants grow, they photosynthesize during the daylight hours when there's light. No plant can photosynthesize in the dark.
Do you want me?
But cactus, the stoma close like 15-20 minutes after the sun comes up, and so they can only photosynthesize for a few minutes every day. If they didn't, then the hot sun would evaporate all the water out of the stoma and they'd shrivel up and die.
That's cool. I
So,
didn't realize that.
so that's why cactus grow so slowly, is because they can only photosynthesize for a few minutes. So the stomata open when it gets dark on cactus, and the stoma open on these other plants when the sun comes up.
So Dad, are you gonna get on this side of the hoop and squirt these?
We're gonna do calcium over there.
So I feel like that's a lot wetter than your spray rig would get a field if you were out going through a big farm field.
Yeah, I was trying to do like 4 ounces on each, and so it was a little more than 4 ounces. So
Okay.
quick, Weston, do the math.
Squish things.
Lick your hand. Oh, look at that.
Woohoo!
Probably a lot juicier because we just sprayed them. That's,
Did you get dry leaves?
they weren't. There wasn't like there was standing water on them.
Okay,
I mean, they feel dry to the touch.
good.
But it was like
Here's the test. And it is, you know, it's not a, at this point, not a marked difference.
it's a 9.
It's still a 9.
Okay,
Still 9.
so after 10 minutes of spraying it, it's showing a 9, and it was a 9 before,
It
right?
was a 9 before, yep.
So it didn't really change it.
What's up? You've got liquid fish. You do apple cider vinegar. The one time when we were in California, we even did a seawater, one experiment, just straight seawater, to see if it had moved it. So that's pretty abundant on the coast of California. Some people think you're crazy. Why are you pumping out seawater? But it's you don't want the salt, but it's the minerals that are there. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. So I would say you can go ahead and water everything, and then we can we'll exclude this one and those 2 patches down there, and then we'll follow up on Monday and we'll just see if there's any significant difference. Specifically, I mean, we're just looking at the fava beans, but that'll be kind of an indicator, like the extra dollars spent produces a result or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I
fun
heard
stuff.
my coat.
I feel like we're just making more work for you, William, but I think it's only up. I mean, even if you did this between crops, once you kind of figure out a system, it's not that tough.
Well, I think it's going to become so abundant with microbes in here that maybe you'll only have to do it if you have huge changes in this season. Like maybe twice a year you could do this.
Yeah. I think so too.
Because it's such a small microclimate that it's easy to control what's going on in here.
Sure.
I mean, we may find that we
What is
may not have
this?
to do this, but
Okay.
once a year, or maybe every couple of years. It just depends on what's happening. Because once you get the biology growing, if you keep it growing because of the compost and the plants that are continually growing, and it doesn't die. Because there's no winter in here,
Yeah.
so it might just keep going for a long time.
And we're committed to no-till and to
Right, we're not going to
no
be
toxins. So we're not going to chase the biology away.
Yeah, we're not doing things that are going to kill it.
And then
So
I'll set that there for now so I don't get yeah, so why would it? Why would it? I think that's a good point. A lot of people question, you know, like when they look at Gabe Brown and what he's been able to do on his ranch. It's taken him some time, and no doubt he's got some tremendous biology. So why would we do this if naturally it's going to happen? Well, it took time, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to speed up biological time because we can. You know, we have the knowledge and the technology to be able to do it. So why not do it if it's cost effective? I don't think we're cheating. We're just working with biology.
you're right, exactly. I mean, that's the whole point.
So if we can get to soil organic double-digit soil organic matter in 3 years instead of 30, why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah.
If it's cost effective, and we're not.
Right.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and dip. Do you have another watering can?
Yeah.
Just-
I have one that doesn't have a spigot, but
It might. Well, we'll do this one first, and then we'll get Weston going on that one.
What other one?
So I'm not really going to strain this. There's probably some chunks in there which will plug up the little outlets, but we'll deal with that. Actually, oh, you know what? We did decide we were going to do calcium, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So let me.
You want to bubble that in the whole thing real quick?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, it's adding the calcium in to the brew.
So we'll go ahead. This is what is it, like 10 ounces? We'll just add about 5 ounces.
Kind of mixing it in.
Try it. It's not super soluble, but it will mix.
After a couple of days.
Okay, so we're applying the brew right now to all the soil and to the plants. We're just using a watering can. We're just squirting it on.
You've got everything except for what's tart.
Okay, good enough. I like it.
Yeah, I think so.
Get microbes all over the place. It's perfect.
Yep.
All right, Jared. So we made our bio preps. We got those all figured out, and we are done. So now what do we expect?
Well, again, it comes back to what our intention is. Like, what do you want to see here in this greenhouse?
I want to see a lot of beautiful growth. I want every plant to reach its genetic capacity.
The interesting thing about that you bring that up. That's awesome, and I think that's largely what I want to see as well. The gentleman who taught me about brewing compost, Ken Hamilton, he said that each seed you plant has all the genetic ability of the parent plants, but at some stage in that plant's life, due to stress, which that stress could be heat, it could be a mineral lack of or surplus of, it could be a lack of water, it could be a pest, it starts to pull back its ability to produce. And so he specifically looked at it on corn because, I mean, that's where the dollars are, right? If people want to grow corn, big dollars in that. So, and you know, why do some of these have longer ears and fully developed and multiple ears per stalk, and why do some of them just have these little spindly ears that are right next to each other? And I think it comes down to the two things that are the building blocks of life. Well, three things, principally carbon. We need that in the soil, not in the air and the atmosphere. Photosynthesis takes care of that. It pulls it out, puts it in the soil where it belongs. So those deep, earthy, carbon-rich, high humic acid or humic components to the soil, organic matter, humus is what I was looking for. In the soil, that's going to equate to good, healthy plants. So we applied the minerals and the microbes, which will help these plants to photosynthesize at their full potential, pull that carbon down into the soil where it belongs. So we can expect growth, and the thing, if you have that expectation that they're going to reach their full genetic potential, you're going to be aware and looking for that, and if there's something else that we need to do, we'll adjust and we'll do it along the way.
Perfect.
It's not a silver bullet. It's not snake potion, snake oil by any means. We might not really understand, especially when it comes to the biodynamic side, what that is and why it works. But I would just say try it and see if it does work.
Yeah.
And then, you know, compare to the results that you have.
And you have tried it because you've been doing it on your ranch here with all the grass and lagoons and forbs that you go for pasture for the cattle.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Sure. Yeah. It's working.
Awesome. So it's not like a brand new experiment.
No. I tell you, when the first time I sprayed out compost tea, I thought I was nuts. I just hoped that nobody drove by and saw this big old 3-wheel spray rig driving down through the field, because it'd be like, people knew I wasn't going to be spraying pesticide, but it's like, what is he doing? Because it was different and it was new. And then when we started doing biodynamic preps, then I was confirmed crazy at that point, because there's not even really the science to measure whether it works or not. I mean, we're going to take these Dowsing rods and it's going to say it reached 100% and we're going to trust that. Yeah, I do. If you don't do it, right? Do what works for you. Yeah.
But you're growing beautiful grass. You have healthy cattle. So it's working.
Yeah. Good wind.
And the wind's blowing. You're making it rain. That's awesome. All right,
Yeah.
Good. That was a good day.
Oh, it was a good day.
Good project.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was pretty fun.
All right.
Just measure and see what the results are.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and again, you know, there's not anything, probably the one thing that is most concerning to me is the level of compaction that we have in the soil here. Like we might at some point drive some rings in the ground and test our infiltration rate, which we are in a super tight microclimate here. But that's cool because we're living in what Alan Savory calls a brittle environment, where it takes decades for things to decompose because it's so dry. But here inside this greenhouse, it's a microclimate, so it's tropical, or we're approaching tropical, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, super humid, doesn't freeze, the microbes can stay alive year-round. They're going to be digesting, ingesting, and populating year-round. And so we've got a lot of things that we can do here. And so those would probably be the two things, the two other things that I would use would be a penetrometer to see, really how much compaction there is, and does that change with what we've done today. And then the other one is the infiltration rate. Just measure how quickly you can infiltrate 1 inch of water and then that 2nd inch of water, and does that improve after our application. So that'll be for maybe another experiment another day, but I trust that what we did today is going to yield good results. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, because it's not a machine, we're dealing with life, but the results will be good. I think it'd be awesome.
Perfect. Thank you for enjoying this small moment with us. It is our hope that it blessed your life. As the sun sets, the earth rests, and so do we. Tomorrow we start again to grow a future in our corner of the world.